Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we're back again for another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Laura Templeton. She's a seasoned speaker, best-selling author, and chief instigator at 30-Second Success. With over 25 years of expertise in marketing and brand communication, she has redefined how personal branding works. At the core of her work and her mission is the desire to help individuals and companies stand in their brand with unwavering clarity, confidence, and compassion. Her ultimate goal is to ignite a chain reaction of positive impacts, proving that when we speak from a place of passion and authenticity, we can truly change the world. And I am right with you.
Thank you for having me on, Donna. I'm excited to be here with you today. I know we've talked numerous times, and it's so fun to always just hang out together. So I'm excited to be on the 50 over 50 today.
Yeah, welcome, welcome. This is my favorite time of the week to speak to somebody who's doing incredible work and changing the world in their own way and constantly evolving and stepping up to whatever the changes and challenges are of the day.
Yes, changes
So,
and challenges are
so
coming at us quickly,
what are
right?
your changes and challenges of the day? Let's just start there.
Oh my goodness, the changes and challenges is life, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but I just had my fourth grandbaby and my daughter lives 1,100 miles away in Pennsylvania. So, changes and challenges happen quickly when you've got a new grandbaby arriving and your daughter says, "Mom, I need your help."
Mm,
Everything drops.
yeah.
Right. And then, there's other things that are happening. I'm proudly 61 years old. I love celebrating life. I look at it from the perspective of how much more time do I have to make an impact, and just being able to embrace all the new technology that's coming at us, right? There are so many changes that are happening in our industry right now for business owners to be able to embrace the technology that we have available to us. And the fact that it's available to us for free is absolutely amazing, right? Like
It's
being
fantastic.
able to embrace AI. ChatGPT is my favorite, hands down. I even talk about it in my books and helping people understand how to embrace that the the advancements of knowledge that is available to us because of AI.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
We're constantly learning. We're always in that learning mode. And when we can embrace that, I'm, at 61, moving to Florida, I'm looking for more ways to be efficient and to be outside instead of at my
Mhm.
desk.
Mhm.
And AI is one of those ways that I can do that.
Yeah, I'm with you
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
It's changed everything for me.
It
Everything.
really has.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
when I don't really use ChatGPT much anymore. I'm more of a Perplexity fan and Claude.
Mhm.
And I use a tool called Magi that has access to about 20 different AI platforms. Um,
Mm.
but it changes I mean, I had 2 weeks where I was having, like, really funky dreams, and I just started a whole stream on dream analysis, and
Ooh.
it opened up all of these things because it knew me.
Right.
It already knew so much about me, and then it just
Right.
started, like, going into my dream sequences, and I mean, it really floored me to
Mm.
see this from another perspective other than my
Mm.
dream. And,
Yeah.
like, I'll go into my refrigerator and say, "I have an eggplant, 2 peppers, and, I don't know, corn, like, what could I make for dinner?"
Yeah, you're really embracing AI on a whole different level, right? So, really talking about there are people that are doing that, right? Really embracing AI on a whole different level, looking at how can I utilize AI to help me be more efficient in my daily life? How can
Mhm.
I help it to take some of those menial tasks away so that I can really focus on the deep work that I'm meant to be doing? And
Exactly.
what are some of the things that I can do even from a coaching perspective, right? One of
Mm,
the things that I love to do with my clients is teach them. There's a series of prompts that I use that'll actually ask AI to be a meta coach.
mhm,
And once, and you hit the nail on the head when you said AI knows me,
mhm.
right? One of the biggest and most important things that we need to do is help AI understand who we are, how we operate, what drives us, who we want to connect to,
Mhm.
right? Who we serve on a deep, on that deep rooted level, who we want to work with is really important to be able to, for AI to be able to give us the information we're looking for.
Yeah.
If it doesn't understand who we are, it's not going to be able to help us.
Yeah.
And that's the fundamental foundations that I teach a lot of my clients and a lot of people, how to set up your your customization for
Mhm.
AI, helping it to understand who you are so that you're not telling it constantly, okay, here's who I
Mhm.
am, here's what I do. It's so funny because I've had those conversations with people like, I'm so tired of telling ChatGPT who I am. And I'm like, well, do you have your custom instructions set up? And they're like, what's that?
Yeah, they don't even know. They don't even know,
Right.
and then, like, when you set it up, from the foundational level, it's pulling
Yes.
that information in every time you interact with it, and if you go
Yes.
back and you organize your chats and you save them, and in chat, I think it's projects, right?
Right. Your data. Yes, your conversations.
Yeah,
In
you save
ChatGPT, it's called conversations.
conversations, okay.
And yeah.
So you save them, and then you can go back to them, so you don't
Mhm.
have to start over again.
Yep.
I did that with my dream sequence, I just kept going back to the same chat. But, like, I
Yeah.
sit down and I'm like, "This tool knows, like, my audience, knows who my clients are, knows how I like to work, knows my backstory, and knows I don't like cauliflower." Like, how cool is that?
You don't like cauliflower? I'm like, really, Donna? Come on. And that's the biggest thing is helping it understand who you are, because then, a lot of people are like, well, then is it going to use my information to educate other people? And
Yes, and you
that's
want it to
you
do that.
you number one, in some instances you do, but then there's some
Mhm,
proprietary information that you may not want it to.
mhm.
Some people do a lot of proprietary work and they
Yeah,
don't want to use the platform to use it to educate other people. You can turn that off. You can
yes,
tell it, no, please don't share my data.
yeah,
And that's one of the another thing, a lot of people are afraid of putting personal information there for fear that it's going to be used elsewhere, and
yeah,
you can turn that off. So getting familiar, not being afraid to click on different buttons to learn the platform. Really take the time to
yeah,
learn the platform and then stay updated when it has new updates, or when it brings a new version out. Learn what
mhm.
those changes are and how they benefit you, because you'll
Yes,
be able to use the platform that much easier.
yeah, don't be afraid of it. You can't break anything. And,
Mhm.
back to, your point of what you wanna share and what you don't wanna share, that comes from you. So you have to bring a level of discernment to this.
Yes.
And, just I consider it a partner. This is somebody that I
Right.
work with every day. Um, and, it's only going to know. It has this level of information that my brain cannot hold.
Right. Right.
And what I need to bring to the table is my experience that it doesn't have, my human experience, and my discernment,
Yep.
because I get to decide what I share with it and what I don't share with it. And that's
Mhm.
something that you need to kind of sit down and think about.
Mhm. Absolutely. And you can have that personalized relationship with it. A lot of my clients have named their chat
Mhm,
GPT, or whatever platform they're using, so they think of it, because we've learned that having conversations with AI as
mhm,
opposed to just feeding it information is
mhm,
important. Because it gets to know your style, it gets to know your behavior by not just the questions you ask, but how
mhm.
you ask them. So it's analyzing how you ask the questions so that it can respond in a way that sounds more like you.
Yeah.
So being able to have conversations and not being afraid to ask chat to go deeper, or
Mhm.
ask, whichever AI platform you are using to go deeper. Like, let's really explore this. I like the response you gave me. Let's explore it. I feel like you're going in the wrong direction.
Mhm.
Here's what I'm thinking. And it'll come back. I love when it gets really kind of snarky and goes, oh, I didn't realize that that's what you were looking for. Let's try something new, right? Just the responses sometimes crack me up. If you're not if you're not reading the responses at the end, like, is this what you were looking for? Or would you like more information? Or would you like me to provide that in a PDF? I'm like, oh my gosh, it like knows what I want.
I love that
But
the
that's
first human emotion it's taken over is snark.
right, snark, right? It's got the whole snarky thing down. At least mine does. I don't know about yours, but
Mine does too.
um
I was actually going back and forth about restructuring some of my offerings. And, I put in my idea of what I was thinking, and it came back with, that's way too hard. It gave
snark.
me, it gave me a much better idea.
Yeah, that's way too hard. You're being too difficult. But that's, and it's interesting that you said that, because one of the things that I have found is I have a tendency to put information in and I'll ask it to reframe it. And then I'll go, a couple of days will come by and I'll ask it something similar and I'll just ask it. So when I did the whole act as a meta coach thing for
Mhm.
myself, it came back and basically told me I second guessed myself too much. I was
Mm.
like, oh, now you're being unkind.
Yeah. Well,
But it was being truthful, right? Because sometimes, and I know that about me, right? I
mhm.
have that whole perfectionist personality. Like, I want everything to be perfect before I put it out there. So I will like reframe it and reframe it and reframe it and reframe it. And I drag my feet.
Mm.
So now, with the help of AI, I don't have a tendency to drag my feet as much, because what I'll do in a thread, just like you were saying, in a thread, in that conversation, I will ask it like, okay, can we dive into this a little bit deeper? I want to
Mhm.
up level the client that I'm speaking to. I really want to start attracting more people at this level. What do I need to be saying that's going to get them to respond better? And the interaction becomes really detailed,
Yeah.
and I get to what I'm looking for much faster.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd love to get your take on this. Um, people that are selling, $27 products, or press a button and get, 6 months of marketing in 10 minutes kind of thing. Um, I felt from the beginning that the biggest benefit that comes from using these tools is when you learn something that you didn't know before, or that you um, are introduced to, like, something that's just like a direction, or a person, or a resource that's entirely new, that takes you in a place you never would have gone. And if somebody is building those parameters on the back end for you, that takes away all of that opportunity.
Right. Right. And that's the biggest thing, making sure that you are looking for opportunities to stand out and to be
Yeah,
different. So from a
yeah,
marketing perspective, why are we doing everything everybody else is doing?
yeah.
I don't know about you, but I've heard somebody said to me recently, well, in the recent past, that a lot of these people who have success with building courses or building webinars or building certain platforms, they've done it, right? They have success with it. They've done it, but now they're teaching hundreds of thousands of people to do it the same way. And now everybody's looking at it going, oh, she's doing the same thing she is. She's doing the same thing she is. She's doing the same thing she is. How do we stand out? Right. So it's being that, being willing to be that individual, have that your individual personality come to the table, making sure that you
Mm,
are sounding like yourself, sounding authentic, making sure that your marketing stands out
yeah,
and that it is uniquely you, and
yeah,
that you're not trying to sell the same thing everybody else is
yeah.
selling.
The most difficult thing for me, adapting to using AI, had nothing to do with the tools. It had to do with me figuring out where I belonged in the landscape, because 'cause I'm not an AI expert. In my view, the only people that are AI experts are people that were committed to working in AI before ChatGPT came out.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're a piker just like me. I mean, I'm
Right.
an advanced piker, but I'm a piker.
Yep. Yep.
And, like, I don't want to be known for that. I wanna be known for the work that I have done for basically 40 years.
Yes.
AI is just another way to do it, a way to
Yes.
kind of streamline some of the things that made this work hard.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the biggest thing. It brings so much more efficiency
Yeah,
to our ability to communicate. And looking at it from the perspective, when you start to really help it understand what your mission is, what your vision is, what drives you, and who you love to work with. I can't tell you how many people I know that really haven't figured out what their niche audience is,
yeah,
but AI needs to know who
it
that
needs
is.
yeah, yeah,
And if you don't know who it is, feed your knowledge into AI and say, who would be a great client for me?
yeah, let
You
it answer
might
the
be
question.
surprised,
Yeah, let it answer the question.
right?
What I do with people, because, like, most of the people I work with are over 50, so they're reluctant. This is not native to them, this is like the Jetsons, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'll take those prompts people put out, like, of if you were my drunk best friend, what would you share about me? Because silly things like that get people to put their hands on the keyboard, and then
Right.
they get sucked in.
Yep. Yep.
But I don't like that's the only thing I do with those types of things. I like to find a problem or
Hmm.
a desire or a goal and figure out how do we backtrack that and create the prompts that are going to bring together the pieces that bring the solution.
Right. Right. And you just mentioned a problem, right? A lot of your clients are afraid to touch AI. So
Yeah,
you're creating prompts that will help them embrace AI by being playful and fun. The one thing that
yeah.
I think I shared this with you previously is I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a millennial, and we were actually working in one of my funnels on my new website. And she's just clicking away, clicking away, clicking away, and as she's clicking away, I could feel my heart just kind of go like this, right? It was just like I was panicking. And in that moment, I had the realization that people that are younger than me, like the millennials, my kids, they grew up with a back button. We
Mhm.
did not.
Yeah.
Like we were, you made a mistake, you had to erase it or get white out. Like I,
Hey,
grew up in the era where there was not a computer.
yeah.
It's like the
I
first
I mean, I
computer.
I I started working in
Yeah.
law firms, and we
Yes.
had every letter, everything you typed had 7 carbon copies in different colors, so we had the law firm actually had specially built boxes for everybody
Yes.
to have on their desk that fit the 7 colors of whiteout bottles in there.
Uh, it's so funny because and that's the biggest thing. Like looking at it from the perspective of you can't mess up, right? If you make a mistake, you can go back.
Yeah.
It's easy. Like even on my website, I just discovered the other day, there's this little clock that will roll back to like so many different previous versions. It saves all the previous versions. So if I really screw it up and I get lost,
Mhm.
I can go backwards, right? So that one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, we before Chat GPT came on the scene and everybody had access to it, we were already using AI,
Yeah, yeah.
right? We were already using AI. I don't know how many people I've turned on to Otter, and
Mhm.
Otter is that voice to text app. Well, Otter used AI way before ChatGPT came on the scene. Zoom uses AI way before ChatGPT came on the scene. It was built into the platform behind, and a lot of
Mhm.
people didn't realize it. So
Yeah.
it's been around for a long time, and we've been using it. It's just now the label is out there,
Well,
right?
the label is out there and the control was put in our hands.
Yes, yes. So that we have the ability to use it for good, for our purposes, to help us improve our lives, improve our station, to improve our communication skills.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I'm seeing in young people, and a lot of my I'm working with college students, and work with Penn State University students, and one of the biggest things that they are challenged with is not just interview skills, but communication skills, conversationally,
Yeah.
because they're so used to texting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so helping people have the conversation with AI is helping them have the conversation with other people.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating. So it's been a really interesting experience to help them through the whole conversational interview styles and things like that, and really helping them identify key things that they need to be sharing when they're in an interview or when they're talking to someone else within their organization.
Mhm.
Right? Because you want to make sure that they know how to communicate well with their peers and with their management. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting when
And
you,
that's them entering, a new world of conversation that they've never had
yes,
before as they go into looking for a job and working with other people in a different capacity and, learning from different types of people, not a school setting. Um,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a whole new level of conversation. And my son just graduated college last week, so,
Oh,
you know,
congratulations.
you,
It's
they
awesome.
don't teach them any of this stuff.
Mm-mm. No, no, it's difficult for them to understand even the power of networking,
Yeah,
right? Just being able to communicate beautifully when you are at networking events, or even when you're in the DMs, privately, if you're at on a virtual network, and you're able to communicate privately. How do you do that, and how do you create those connections? It's all about conversation, right? It's about communicating. It's with authenticity, bringing your heart to the table, making sure that you are authentically voicing your opinion and being heard.
yeah.
And that's where, again, being able to tap into the strength of AI. What do I need to be saying? How do
Mhm.
am is what I'm saying coming across properly?
Yeah,
Right? What is missing from my message that people need to hear?
yeah. It's
Being
so
able to have that conversation with AI, or, it's kind of like having a conversation with your best friend
yeah,
who knows you inside and out.
yeah. There's an AI tool called Udly, and
Mhm,
it was built by speaker coaches.
mhm.
So it teaches you how to be a better speaker. So you can upload a video of you speaking, and it will critique you, and it was all trained and built by speaker coaches. It's an amazing tool.
Right, right. I've heard about that one. I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna have to give it a try and let you know
Yeah.
how it goes.
I'm not sure if it's still free. It used to be free. It might not be anymore, but it really is a good tool. And but you can do that with any AI tool now also,
Yes.
and if it really
Yes.
knows your voice and knows what you're
Mhm,
doing, that's such a powerful way to use it. And
mhm,
um, just have it review your stuff or have it like I worked in law firms for 25 years. Lawyers are notorious for not working well with a blank page. So, coming up with some kind of draft to give them to
mhm,
start with if you work with lawyers or anybody in that professional capacity, those documents are long and hard to go through, so they don't start well with a blank page because
mhm.
everything comes from a template. um, and then
And
sorting through that, you know
mhm,
finding the information, like you
mhm.
just need one section where it's 200 pages long.
Yes, 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 yes. It's so funny that you mentioned that. What my husband and I were working with a document, and it was an RFP, of request for proposal, and I said to him, we could put that into ChatGPT and get an evaluation. He's like, no, I got to go through it myself.
Mhm,
And that, he felt very responsible for making sure that he went through it. Well, I took a different document, one that I had from my own work, and I put it in, and I said, okay, here's what I need you to look for. And it was certain things, certain tags, certain words. I want you to just tell me which lines, where to find it. And it did. It
mhm,
actually evaluated the document, found what I was looking for in every spot, and then I took the document myself and highlighted, what I found. And it actually found more than I did.
mhm. Yeah,
I was like, oh, I missed those. How did
yeah.
I miss those? So it was really interesting. Yeah, it was a
It
really interesting exercise. So it can be used for so many different things, right? And
so
that's, it.
here's another thing I did. I got I had some fun with human design recently, and I've been dabbling there. I'm not an expert by any stretch, but I've learned a lot about myself. So then I have this whole card that has been on my desk for years that has all of my different assessments on there, right? So it's got my strength finders, my Colby, my, all of them, like 20 different assessments. So I just went in and I put in all the different personality, I don't know, things I have on this card. And it was brilliant what it came back with. It came back
Mm,
with something that I never really noticed about myself. That's such a core part of how I do everything, is that I look for patterns. And
beautiful.
that changed everything because
Beautiful.
I can talk about that, and that makes
Mhm.
sense to other people that I'm looking for these patterns with whatever I'm looking for.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and there were, like, tons of other insights in there, but it was just really helpful to have somebody, well, something else do that, to just
Mhm.
go through all of these different, personality traits and
Right.
find whatever came to the top for all of them. And because I put so many in there, it really just showed the consistency, um, which helped me identify parts in myself that are never gonna change.
Right.
And,
Right.
so it
And
really helped me define what's malleable and what is not malleable about me.
mm, I love that. I would love to see that prompt that you use to do that because I have my disc profile, I have my human design, I've got
It
all the other
wasn't it
ones too.
wasn't
So
much
yeah.
of a prompt. It was like, "Here are all of my, personality assessments that I've taken over the years. Can you" I always a this is what I always ask for. I always ask for the overlaps and the gaps.
Oh, I like it. I like
Yeah,
it.
and then before I hit the button, I ask if it needs any additional information or has any questions, and to please ask before it starts. So, like, I'll start with vague prompts just because I have an idea about something, and those 2 things usually get me on the right track, and then we iterate.
Right. Right. And that's one of the things. It's interesting that you said that. You will start with very vague prompts. And I have a tendency to give it a lot of information so that I can get to what I'm trying to get to faster. Right.
Mhm,
So my brain works in a different way than yours does. Right. You're okay, here's the simple question. Here's the content. Let me know if you need more information and boom, right?
mhm,
I'm one of those. Here's what I'm writing. Here's who it's for. This is what I'm trying to do. Here's some additional information. What else do you need from me? Right.
mm,
So I will go, like, I will try and, just give it as much information as I possibly can. And, or, then there are times where I'll just go real basic and say, okay, this is right. This is an idea. Can you help me
mhm.
flesh it out?
Yeah, yeah, and it depends on I mean, and this is why I think it's so important that people really learn how to use the basic functionality, understand the way it works on a basic level. Not that you need to be a data scientist, but you
Right.
really need to understand where the information comes from, how it gathers it, and it helps with other things too. Like, one of the things we touched on before is you want the tools to know who you are because this is how people are searching.
Right.
And that's how
Right.
you're gonna be found, and as a small business, solo, micro business owner, we cannot compete with people that are dropping big dollars on ads.
Right.
AI results come up before the ads in Google,
Right.
and
Yes.
just by knowing some basic SEO and some basic "this is how AI works," you can position
Yeah.
yourself to come up on top of the people that are spending all that money, and pretty quickly
And
too.
yeah, and that's one of the things that just the other day, I was creating something I think I was doing it for Instagram. And with Instagram, you can put alt text in for your
Uh-huh.
images. And
Yes.
I will take the picture, put it in AI and say, can you create the alt text for this image and and it gives me great alt
Yeah,
text.
yeah.
Always make sure it's got my keywords,
Mhm,
because I use specific keywords for my business, which
mhm,
I've also generated with AI's help. Right. So
mhm.
I'm very consistent. You can create consistency for all
Yes.
of your communications with the help of AI, when it knows what your SEO, what your keywords are, what your mission statements are, when it
Mhm.
has all that information, it knows to include it in the content it's providing for you.
Yeah.
And it can really help you drive SEO for your business with that consistency, which is so important. A lot of people
And
don't understand
easily.
how important that SEO
It's
is.
everything. I've been
Yeah.
doing SEO for 15 years,
Yep.
and it is everything. It's also the driver behind PR. So if you wanna have PR, the first
Mhm.
thing that either a top-rated podcast or a media outlet is gonna look at is what your online ranking is, what your domain
Mhm.
authority is. And, they're gonna want that to be in close proximity to what their domain authority is.
Yep.
And the biggest way to get your domain authority number higher is through backlinks on PR. That means if the New York Times writes about you and links to your website, that's a high quality backlink that comes back to your
Yeah.
website that boosts you up like nothing else. So
Yeah.
there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and really knowing how to leverage AI just it advances that, like, beyond how you can even imagine. I mean, like,
Yeah.
when I first saw this, because this is the work that I have been trying to get people to, like, buy into and do for years, and they didn't want to because it was hard and the tools were expensive. This brought it all down to, as a small micro business owner, we can actually do this. And one of the things that we were talking about before we went live, and I'm, like, so incredibly passionate about this, is that, the people that I work with, my community, my colleagues, my friends, my clients are all over 50, mostly over 50. And this is how we're going to stay relevant and be able
Mm.
to work and keep up for the rest of our lives. So, don't buy that thing that's $27 where somebody else is making the decisions for you. Learn how to use this. You got two people here that will show you. I would be happy to partner up with you and do some stuff together. I mean, it's
Yeah.
so incredibly important to know how to do this.
And it really is. And that was part of the reason why as soon as ChatGPT, I learned about it, I'm like, I'm jumping on this, right?
Yeah,
I am not going to wait to see what happens. I've done that too many times in my life. And
yeah,
that's one of those things that it's like this time around, I'm embracing this full on. I wrote my first book about AI was Stand in Your Brand, Harness the Power of AI for Brand Success, Efficiency, and Client Attraction. And that one really kind of flipped the switch for myself because I did a lot of learning. I did a lot of digging in, really dug into how AI can be used to help you elevate your brand, right? It's
yeah,
really about the brand messaging, it's about communications, it's about efficiency, and how do we do it better
yeah,
with the help of AI. And that was really the catalyst even for me launching the Brand Success Hub, which is where I love to invite people in and teach them how to embrace AI, share unique prompts, go through my own experiences like, hey guys, this is something I tried. This is not working. Let's try something different.
yeah,
Right. And just helping people do the same thing of really saying, how do I use this tool? How is it going to make me stand out? What do I need to teach this tool so that it can help me better?
yeah, absolutely. And when you do, I don't know if you've experienced this, but the tool has told me, like, I wish everybody used me the way you do. Like, you're using these tools the way they're supposed to be used.
There's that snarky comment again, right? I love when it does. It's like, oh my gosh, that was such a great question. I'm like, thank you.
I mean, just from a productivity standpoint, and I never approach this from productivity. I always approach it from better because the productivity just happens, right? But from a productivity standpoint, I started a LinkedIn newsletter.
Mhm.
And because I all my clients were asking for them, and I was like, "Well, I guess I need to have one." So I started it. I just released my 16th, edition yesterday,
That's
and,
great.
I've never been consistent with newsletters because I get bored with them. I just get
Mhm.
bored with them. I don't want to do them. I don't like nobody opens it. I'm like nobody cares. I've never in 18 years of business, I've never been consistent with my newsletter, and I have been consistent with this. And I have like one chat going, and I go back and I'm like, okay, ready for the next one. It's the topic I want to talk about. I give it some information, and I'm literally I'm doing the whole thing in like 20 minutes to a half an hour with images and links and everything. And
Yeah.
I've never had that before. I agonized over newsletters, and
Yep.
it's been fun. Newsletters have never been fun for me.
It's like social media, right? The same thing. Like I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to do this with consistency. How do I do this with consistency? I make myself crazy and then I would fall off. And now it's like I am showing up. I use the Canva scheduler. Canva is
Mhm,
another one, great ability to use AI with, right? So
mhm,
I use the Canva scheduler and I'm like weeks out. And I used AI to help me go. I like, okay, I need 25 weeks worth of content. How do I
mhm.
build it? Right? What do you and around clarity, confidence, compassion. Those are the three things that I talk about all the time. And so, how am I teaching people? How am I helping people understand the side of compassionate leadership, which is my most recent book? How to stand in your brand, how to build your brand, whether you're a professional working in an office or if you're a business owner. How are you building your brand, and how are you using AI to help you do that? So
Mhm.
so it's been really fun to play with AI to create that framework that I then just each week go in and plug in. Okay, this is the topic I want to talk about. Let's massage a couple posts. What should the images look like? I'll go find the pictures. I'll put it
Mhm.
in Canva. And now I'm doing it with consistency. I'm always like 3 to 4 weeks out. Even when my daughter had her baby and I had to
Mhm.
fly to Pennsylvania and take 2 whole weeks off, right? I did not panic because I already had my social media was going to continue to go even though I wasn't here.
Yeah. Canva is that was another tool that changed my business. It
Yes.
really changed my business. It allowed me to, do things that were in the past hard and expensive.
Mm. One of my favorite people, and she's a good friend and a client of mine, and now we actually do a podcast together. Regina Garay,
Mm.
she's her business Right Brain Loves Left. She teaches people how to utilize Canva, and she does it beautifully. I should
Check her
connect you
out.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's really neat. Yeah, she's
Good.
really neat. She does a beautiful job of teaching people how to utilize Canva and very step by step, right?
Yeah,
It's not overwhelming. She does
yeah,
small classes on different parts of Canva, which is nice. So you're not getting overwhelmed by the full platform.
yeah, it is such an
Yeah.
important tool. I mean, when I work with clients, it's the first thing I tell them, like, just get a paid Canva account and spend a little time learning how to use it,
Yes.
because it really um gives you the opportunity to create beautiful things that
Yes.
elevate your brand, they elevate your credibility. Um, it will allow doors to open that might not have opened from using your, image from 1997.
Right?
Oh my god, I was having so much fun, I didn't even look at the time. We've gone
I
10
know
minutes.
we're way over. It's all
Anyway,
good. We could
um,
just keep on
is there
going.
anything else you want people to know that we didn't talk about because we just went on and on about AI?
Oh, I know. There's so much we could talk about. There's so many things to unpack, but at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is just to remember to be yourself, right? Especially when it comes to AI. If you want AI to understand who you are and how you show up in the world, be
Mhm.
yourself, be authentic, right? And if there are other people that you enjoy what they do and follow them, let them know,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
I think
totally.
that is so important. I love that's one of the things that I love doing for other people is just showing up for them and let them know that hey, I love what you're putting out into the world. Keep doing it. People appreciate that.
That's how I built my business. Early days
Mhm.
Twitter, I
Yep.
just connected with all the people I wanted to connect with,
Yep.
and that's how I built a business, and it still works.
Yes, it does. It really does.
Still works.
Kindness matters, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing.
Kindness, and the other thing is too, even if people are, perceived to be big and important, it still feels good when somebody reaches out to you and says your work matters. What you're doing is
Yes.
making a difference because we
Yes.
all have those gremlins we face in the middle of the night. I don't care how big and important you are. We all feel the same thing. We all feel like, am I doing enough?" And whenever anybody reaches out, if they leave a review, if they, whatever, it matters and people pay attention to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to have a presentation years ago. It was called Shut Up and Listen. And it was all about listening first and connecting with people. And it still works.
It does. It does. I know you and I
And
have the same heart for connecting with people. I think it's beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Okay.
awesome.
Well, we have to end this. Otherwise we'll be here all day.
I know, right?
We'll have to do something else. Um, okay. Anyway, connect with Laura. Her website is 30 Second Success, and she's got several books. She's got her offers. She's got speaking opportunities. She's got all kinds of things going on there. Connect with her and come back again next week because we have more women lined up. I think we're booked all the way into October now. So we've got lots of people to introduce you to. There are also several new people up on the website. Go check them out. And that is over at thereal50over50.com. And we've got lots more coming. So have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. And Laura, thank you very much. And I'm sure our story doesn't end here.
No, it doesn't. Thank you so much for having me on the Real 50 over 50, Donna. It's been great to be here with you.
Thank you.